Welcome to Haunt Weekly. Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast for the haunted attraction, haunt entertainment community. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. And we return to you once again. If you're catching us live, you're catching us on Sunday, if you're catching us on the recorded, it's Monday or whenever's convenient for you. But we're coming at you once again with another weekly heaping of haunt talk.
Yes.
And this week we have a topic that's very near and dear to my heart personally. One of my favorite things to see, both in haunts and both to do. We don't do a lot of it in ours because of the space constraints, and we'll get into that in a minute. But I love it. It's prop-based layout, how to use it, what it is. Breaking it all down for you this week. It's going to be a fun hour, I think. But if for some reason this topic isn't your jam, we have 286 others. I can guarantee you one of them probably is. So go to hauntweekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, and check out our previous episodes. You can also find the entire catalog we've done, youtube.com/hauntweekly. Subscribe there. Let us know you love us. Join us at iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and wherever you get your podcast. And like I said, Sunday, 8 p.m. Central, facebook.com/hauntweekly. We do these podcasts live. Come join us, participate in the chat, be a part of the show. It's maybe not a lot of fun, but it is an amount of fun to be had. You know, there is fun to be had.
Yes.
All right. So, first item up for the week, if you are catching the video version of this, which is once again facebook.com/hauntweekly, the videos are up there. We have made a lot of progress on the Lego Haunted House set. A lot of progress. In fact, I was a little worried when we set up for today's show that you wouldn't be able to see us. Because of how tall it's gotten. I knew it was tall, but I severely underestimated the height of the main spire.
Yes, well, and that's between us. That's how you can still see us if you're on the chat.
Yeah, I mean, it's sitting on the table, and it's almost as tall, reaches a height almost as tall as us now. In fact, to put on pieces at the top, we're having to stand up now. Which is bad because we're all old people in this house and gravity sucks. So standing in a chair to put Lego on is probably the most exercise we get on most days. But regardless, it's looking really good. We're up to bag. I think we're going to start bag 17. We were told a lot about bag 13. And the way Jape said it, he was the first one to say it. And so did
Ryan.
Ryan also said it. The way they both said it, I couldn't tell if it was like a warning or a you should be excited about bag 13.
Yeah.
Turns out we should have been excited.
Yeah.
Because it was, I'll have to do a video of it elsewhere because it's on this side of it, unfortunately, and this is a bear to move. So I'm not flipping it around to demonstrate this. But it's a cool little projection light that lets you shine a ghost onto a painting. It's really, really neat.
Yeah.
It's very cool. The design of this is great. It's going to be an awesome display piece when the time comes.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. We've already figured out where it's going to live, I think, in the house. It's got to be in one of the cat-free rooms. Because the cats will absolutely annihilate the hell out of that.
Yeah. Yeah, the little spires.
Yeah, everything.
Apparently are attracting
to
cats. Attractive.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So the cats will absolutely obliterate this, and we can't have that. So it'll be living in my office when the time comes. But regardless, we have... What else we got going on? Oh, yes. The question of the week last week was a lot of fun. I asked, what was your favorite dumpster dive find? Someone said, my mom. I'm just going to say this. If you're going to be troll, at least have the decency to be funny.
Yeah.
That's just lame. It's just sad, actually. It's not even... Anyways, but we had a lot of great answers, and I wanted to respond to. We had great answers in the chat too, but you got to go back to the previous episode to get those. I wanted to share some of the ones from Facebook because we had some killer answers there. Gary Adams said a pull filter tube that he now uses in a toxic waste scene, and that's one of my favorite things about dumpster dive finds is you find something and go, okay, this is weird, but I can make it this with just a can of spray paint or a little bit of touch up, you know?
Yeah.
It's one of the really cool things about it.
Yeah. Randall Tarun said broken animatronics.
Which that is sweet.
Yeah.
Especially if you, I mean, like my dream dumpster find would be to be the dumpster at Chuck E. Cheese when they throw out the broken band animatronics.
Yeah.
Because then we could be Five Nights at Freddy. we could do this, you know.
Yeah.
Joe Singletary, a 1950s era TV set, and that is when you use the words TV set, because if it came from that decade, it probably weighed 8,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Between 8 and 10,000 pounds. But it also, and what he described putting a screen on it and having actors.
Yeah, basically gutted it, so it was just a big box.
And that's something we've been wanting to do, but have never encountered one of those.
Well, and we don't really have a way to get it here if we did.
Yeah,
because I've seen one once on the side of the road, but I had no idea how to get it home.
Yeah, and it's definitely not a pick up and grab. I miss having a pickup truck. I will say that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do miss that. We had one for many, 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 many years. A small one.
Yeah.
But even with a small pickup truck, your ability to haul stuff is exponentially increased. But we don't have one right now.
Right. Troy Caravion said 12 skeletons and a spirit dumpster.
And this is so weird because I have heard 3 different stories about spirit dumpsters.
Yeah.
Everyone says, oh, go check out spirit dumpster like November 2nd. They throw out so much cool stuff or whatever. Some people say, no, they don't really throw that much away. They throw worthless crap out that they can't either donate or ship back to the warehouse. Mm-hmm. So you might get a few damaged costumes. Some people say, oh, yeah, they throw out useful shit, but they break it. Deliberately break it. I've heard that multiple times.
Yeah, or throw paint on top of it, and stuff like that.
Or smash it. They will deliberately break shit so it will not be then usable.
Well, the joke's on them because broken skeletons are still useful.
Yeah, especially if you're going to make a spider queen.
Yes.
Which is one of the things that you did recently. But yeah, 12 skeletons and Spirit Dumpster. And he said one of them was the kind that you talk to and it has the moving mouth animatronics.
Yeah.
Which is really fucking cool. Let's see. And Kevin Finkel, a drafting table. Which we have actually gotten one of those.
Yeah.
It wasn't a dumpster find.
No, it was going to be curbed, though. It was from work. From my work, they were clearing out a storage unit.
Yeah, you worked at that time at an engineering firm, basically.
Right.
And, yeah, they had an ancient fucking drafting table.
Yeah, but I loved that table.
It was like 1970s. It was teal and green, like that seafoam green and teal. It was the chrome stripping on it. It was ass ugly.
Yeah, but it was awesome for painting on.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we had to get rid of it and junk it, too. But it stayed around in our house. It actually didn't go in the haunt. It actually just stayed in our house for many years. And then we had to eventually bin it.
Yeah.
We needed the bedroom.
Yeah.
We needed the room. But, yeah, I mean... So, yeah, that's a really cool find, too. But I also know exactly how heavy those are.
Yes.
Holy shit, dude. How did you get that? Hopefully you had help.
Yeah.
Lots of help.
Yeah.
Wow. So, yeah, lots and lots of help. So this week's question of the week, everyone. What is your most memorable room or scene in a haunt you visited? And I have been trying to think of a good answer for this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, Jesus, like there's so many good answers to that is one of the problems. And I don't want to talk about scenes we're going to be talking about later because... We're going to be talking about some of our favorite prop-based layouts.
Well, now you're throwing rules onto the question the week that we
I
didn't talk about.
I don't want to. You can do what the hell you want. My rules don't apply to you. I don't make your rules. You're a free, independent woman. You can do whatever you want. You are your own free spirit. You do you. But I think one of my most memorable for me was in Evil Intentions in Chicago. After the chainsaw room... entering in that outdoor temple area. Because it's like, okay, haunt's over. No, I got the chainsaws going outside. What the?
Yeah.
Just this big, huge outdoor scene. And it was so mammoth and so unexpected.
Yeah.
And it was apparently the part where you transition from one building that was in that particular fact. They won't have this now because they moved to a new location. But it was from one building to another. You're making a transition. And it just let you know, no, you've only reached the halfway point of this. Ha ha ha, suckers.
Yeah, exactly.
That was really cool.
Yeah, I do like getting surprised like that.
That's one of my favorite surprises for certain.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I've said it before that I really like the opening sequence at Hell's Gate.
yeah, and Statesville too.
Yeah.
Both of them are similar-ish.
Yeah, but I liked Hell's Gates a little bit more.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
And the other thing, and it might just be because I was expecting something similar at Statesville because I had just seen.
I think the Statesville one was also smaller and not quite as
I thought it was bigger.
I don't know. I think, see, for me, I agree with you. I like the opening at Hell's Gate better, but I think I like the haunt better at Statesville.
I don't know. I would have to think about that much harder than I've done.
Goddamn haunts, honestly. We're splitting the hairiest of hairs here.
But I think that another just overwhelming scene was walking into one of the big rooms at Netherworld, and this is at their old location, and looking up and seeing all the projections on the ceiling. Because that's one of the things that I do, is I look up in haunts.
Like
Yeah, I look up, I look down, I look sideways, I look all around.
I look behind me to see.
Yeah. So yeah, just looking up and seeing all the projections of the different flying ghost things was really cool.
Yeah, and one of the scenes that we are going to talk about in more detail later, but the forest scene there was probably one of the best for that, just because it's this big open area with this giant goddamn tree. With projections and just so much going on, so much to look at. And so it guarantees you will look everywhere in that goddamn room except for the bastard that's about to jump out at you.
Yep. Exactly.
It's so beautiful. It's so well done. Oh, man. You can tell that's a haunt that has iterated and learned from its mistakes and just kept what worked and chunked what didn't. You can tell that that's what they did. A beautiful job of all those years. They've been learning. All right. So anyways, last week we did a whole episode on who needs lumber, some alternative builds for your haunt. And the whole point of it was we were trying to help people find ways to save money on wood because wood prices are fucking stupid.
Yes.
They are just absolutely stupid. I'm so glad we're not staring down any builds right now, any lumber-based builds at least. So thank God for that. But yeah, we mentioned prop-based layout as part of it, but we didn't really go into it. And we tried to give an episode number where we talked about it, and realized we didn't have one.
Yeah, so we're surprised, because for sure we had done this.
We did 287 of these. How the hell did we... It's like how we did not do the copyright and trademark talk.
Yeah.
Until like 200 and change. Or 180 change or something like that. It was like way late. Like that should have been like episode 10. You know? Episode 5 should have been that. But no, we waited until well into the triple digits. Because that's just it. Sometimes when you're doing these week to week to week, it can be very easy to overlook, things that you think you got, basically.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, it just seems like, of course we talked about that earlier.
Yeah, of course we did. We had to have.
Yeah. We wouldn't have, put that off this long.
Yeah, we didn't omit this. There's no way.
Yeah.
Well, we're not stupid. We couldn't have omitted it. We did. So anyways... So yeah, we didn't get a lot of time to really explain it, and I think, honestly, I did a pretty poor job explaining it last week, because we didn't have a lot of time, and there is a lot of nuance to it. So this week we want to take some more time and explain why it's unique, why it's a unique way to build a haunt, and why you should consider making at least some of your haunt out of this.
Yeah.
So anyways, let's start with some fundamentals of haunt layout. Not really haunt design, haunt layout.
Right.
Imagine, if you will, you had a 2,500 square foot haunt. Not a huge haunt, but definitely big enough to be a pro haunt.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to have multiple attractions. This is plenty big enough to be a pro haunt. 2,500. And it's a perfect square. It is 50 by 50. Kind of like our garage is damn near a perfect square.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
So, if you had the customer just come in on the right side of one of the sides, go straight to the back, hang a left, and then go back out an exit door on the other side, you would be giving them a walkthrough of exactly 150 linear feet. 50 feet up, 50 feet to the side, 50 feet back. Quick maths. Now, the average human being walks slightly faster than 3 miles per hour, and that shakes out to be about 4.5 to 4.6 feet per second.
Mm-hmm.
That means your walkthrough, assuming that they walk at a casual pace and don't run, will be 33 seconds long.
Yeah, that seems like a waste a little bit.
Yeah, because you wasted a lot of goddamn space is what you did. Yeah, they walked the perimeter of the haunt pretty much,
Mm-hmm.
but you didn't use the space. And so much of haunt layout is about trying to take the space you have and maximizing the linear feet you can have visitors or customers travel. We only have a 625 square foot haunt, but we squeeze in about 200 linear feet.
Mm-hmm.
So you see here, like we're literally a quarter the size of this haunt,
No.
but we have more linear feet than they do in this imaginary scenario where they're just complete boneheads about how they lay out their haunt. This is incredibly stupid and obviously for exaggeration purposes.
Yes.
Nobody'd be this dumb. Actually, no, do not say that, Jonathan.
No.
Someone has been this dumb.
Yeah.
We both know that.
Mm-hmm.
Someone has been this dumb, so don't say that, Jonathan. You're tempting worse.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tempt worse. So somebody was this dumb, but it's not a realistic problem for most of us. And so what you have to do is find a way to expand the linear feet as much as you can. One of the I do appreciate it, but like trail haunts actually don't tell us their square footage or their acreage. They'll say, we're 1 mile of trail.
Yeah.
And I know, okay, I walk through haunts slowly, so I know I'm probably going to be about 3 miles per hour ish.
Mm-hmm.
I know for me, if they're actually a mile, tell me the real truth about the length, it's going to be about 20 minutes to get through.
Yeah.
And I know that because we have a subway and a bar and a little shopping center half a mile from our house, almost exactly half a mile, and it takes me 10 minutes to get there, 10 minutes to get back.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I know I can make a guesstimate of how long it's going to be. But instead, you get haunts, and Terror on the Coast was probably the worst for this. 100,000 square foot haunt!
Yeah.
10-minute walkthrough.
Yeah. And, that was many years ago. We
Yeah.
don't know what they've done now. I'm sure that they've grown and changed the layout.
And we know they have because we've heard that they took some of our criticisms to heart.
Yeah.
We've heard that from a couple of sources. We have not been able to go because it's all the way out. And, not Mobile. Which one is Biloxi? No.
It's in Mississippi somewhere. It's in another state.
It's Biloxi, Mississippi. No, but it's a hell of a drive for us is the problem. We haven't made any trips out there since just because it's too long of a drive. And we didn't do any haunt visits last year. We were very sad. So the point I'm trying to make...
It's in Gulfport.
Gulfport, Mississippi. Okay, yeah, that's on the other side. Oh, God, that is a hell of a haul for a haunt. So, yeah, what this means, though, in terms of how do you increase that linear speed, you basically make as many twists and turns and as you can. And the whole point of this is it extends the walkthrough. You can turn that 150 linear feet easily into 4 or 5 times that.
Right.
Very easily.
It creates confusion.
Yes.
People lose track of where they are in the building.
And they do that in our haunt.
They do.
Which blows my mind, because like I said, we're 25 by 25. We're a perfect square, 625 square feet. We're not big, but people get fucking lost.
They do. They're like, it's still going.
How the hell is this in your garage? Scooby, I don't know.
Magic. We are magicians of illusion and
yes, we are.
And space and time.
It also makes it much easier to set up scares around corners. That way, when you're twisting and turning around, you can set up things as scares that you could not in just an open space. It reduces running, does not eliminate it, as we keep finding out.
Mm-hmm.
But when people aren't 100% sure where the next twist and turn is, they are less likely to run. Makes it more immersive. And one of the things that I don't think gets enough love is it keeps people near fire exits. You can do the twists and turns in such a way that you need fewer fire exits.
Yeah, exactly.
You can actually keep people close to fire exits. It's actually safety. But remember, it's a labyrinth, not a maze, people.
Yeah.
Very careful with your word choice there. We make labyrinths in this industry, not mazes. Well, some people make mazes, but I don't like mazes. I love labyrinths.
Yeah.
I love Labyrinth the movie. I've not seen the TV show yet, though.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, according to at least one report, they did dirty. Done dirty. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So the way this is normally achieved in a haunt, and not normal in big air quotes here, because there's as many ways to achieve this as there are haunts.
Mm-hmm.
But the stereotypical way, we'll say, is walls. Panels, lots of walls, lots of panels.
Mm-hmm.
And you use small rooms, usually centered around one scare, and use transitional hallways to prevent people from seeing from one room to the next. Like in an ideal universe, we wouldn't have a straight shot between this room and the next room, for example. We would have a transitional hallway, so that way you couldn't see into it, and also the light from that room can't leak into this one.
Yeah.
But we don't have the space for that. But that's what larger haunts do, because they have that room. So basically it's a pattern of room, hall, and go through a lot of haunts, you will actually see this pattern unfold.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see it very, very clearly. Room, hall, room, hall, room, hall, room, hall.
Yeah, and it's very easy to set out a layout like that because you're used to walking through buildings with that kind of layout.
Yeah.
You know, think of your house. It's room, hall,
Yeah.
you know.
Unless you have a shotgun here in New Orleans, then it's
Yeah.
room.
Yeah, exactly. And
What's a hall? We have no idea what halls are.
Yeah.
Halls were not invented when those houses were built.
And I mean, it is possible to do room next to room in a haunt.
It is.
That's not a
No, it's
issue.
actually, and it's easy to do, especially with the help of prop-based layout, because you can change the direction of people without walls.
Right.
That's the whole point. It's easier to have room next to room and keep that separation of light, keep that separation of lack of visibility, that sight line without walls. And that's kind of the point. So yeah, basically play this game. Next time you're in a haunt, hopefully this year,
Yeah.
see how often you are surrounded on both sides by walls that just leave you the 4-foot walking path. 4-foot wide path. It's going to happen a lot more than you think. And if you don't watch for it, you might not see it, because a lot of times those are, like I said, transitional in nature. So there might not be a lot going on in them. But watch for it. You'll see how common it actually is. It's really common. I know, like, for example, the mortuary. Even though they are pretty good at prop-based layout in their bigger spaces,
Right.
when you get into the basement or sometimes the upstairs area, they do a lot of that.
Yeah. Well, and they're also a historical building, which
Yeah,
I know is in the notes to talk about
Yeah,
later.
no.
But it's one of the restrictions that they're under is that they can't do a lot of physical changes to the building.
Yeah, exactly. So they're doing the best they can. I don't. That's not a knock on them. I don't intend it as a knock.
No.
It's just an observation. That's one of the haunts I do notice that more. But yeah, and I do wish we would think about haunts more in terms of linear feet than square footage.
Yeah, it makes more sense because this is how long you have to walk. This is how far you have to walk, you know?
Yeah. And here's the thing. Here's what you do. You get one of those surveying wheels.
Mm-hmm.
We actually have one somewhere around here. That's how we measured ours. Get at the start of your haunt, walk right down the middle of the entire walking path, taking the average walking path, and just see how many linear feet your haunt is. It's fun. It's easy to do.
Yeah.
And it might give you some metrics that you can use, because once you know the linear feet, using that formula I just told you about, 4.5 to 4.6 feet per second, you can estimate the walkthrough if they don't get stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they don't run, just the average walking pace for the haunt. You can figure it out. And I would absolutely do that, because it's worth it. So you can estimate, so you can find, wait, here's where we can get more linear feet. Here's where we can squeeze a little more out of it. And one of the tools to squeeze more out of it is prop-based layout.
Yay.
So yes. But yeah, because the problem with the traditional way of doing it is it's not how rooms normally work.
No.
Rooms normally have very different shapes and sizes and purposes. But it's very hard to make very large rooms and maximize the linear footpath and create scares.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of one of those triangles. You get to make two choices, but you can kind of do two, but you can't do all three. It's pretty rough, and this is where prop-based layout comes in to help maximize some of that linear footpath. All right, the basics.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about some basics of this.
All right.
You start with larger rooms. Now, I have a hard time estimating what a quote-unquote normal haunt room, because we have very small ones.
Yeah, ours are
Teeny tiny.
Yeah, I think they're less than 10 by 10.
Yeah, they're 8 by 8, I think. Most of our rooms are about 8 by 8. They almost have to be, or 9 by 9 even. But they could be anywhere from like an 8 foot by 8 foot. Like, I know the Darkness also had very small rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Like, almost, and Netherworld also had some very small rooms.
Well, yeah, and that's,
But
useful. Yeah. I know that and small rooms are difficult to decorate. They're difficult to lay out, as we've been told at 13th Gate. There's that one room that we say, why don't you ever change that one? Oh, it's a weird space and we can't figure out anything else to do with it. So
I keep threatening to... I keep thinking, well, let me at him. Put me in coach. No, it's probably a terrible idea to put me in coach. But they usually go from about 8 by 8 to 15 by 15 in size. So the pretty big expanse there. But you can do rooms many, many times that size. The secret is you've got to put obstacles in the way of people so they can't just see, oh, there's the exit. Because this is one of the problems we found on a freight trail. Mm-hmm. Which was they did not have a lot of obstacles between buildings.
Right. There was long stretches of trail, wide open and fairly well lit so you could see the ground and where you were going.
Yeah. And we were told to stay with our group. Our group left us behind.
Yeah, now this is our first visit. Since then they reached out.
Yeah, and they made it more windy. And they actually did improve upon it. But yeah, that first visit, they had an issue where they had very little winding and few obstacles and not much of anything between
and really wide paths.
Yeah, and really wide paths. And so the two people we went in with another couple who were, I believe in the New Orleans lingo, they were scary. And the very first time they got out of one building and saw the door to the next, just Usain bolted it all the way to the other building, and it's because they could. Mm-hmm. Because even though they had all the space, since there was no attempt to really extend the linear feet, they just bolt to it. So the idea of prop-based layout is you have larger rooms, but use props and not walls to break up the walking path. Now, the props may or may not break line of sight. Some props, like gurneys or tables, might actually deliberately allow people to see over. And that's great because it lets them take in how big the space is. They actually get a feel for how large the room is. And they can see a lot more in it. But you can also use props like bookshelves or like giant mad scientist props and things like that to both modify the walking path, but also break line of sight.
Exactly.
And you may want to do that, especially if you're trying to hide a scare or an actor or something. You may need to do that.
Yeah, and like we mentioned on last week's episode, if you put a lot of props in there's lots of places for actors to hide.
Yeah.
And play with.
Yeah, you really, really want, and honestly, using a little bit of both, because I do like the idea. One of the things I love about prop-based layout is how it lets you see how big a room is. It lets you feel small for a second.
Yeah, and it's always a bit of a hiccup in my step when I step from small room, wide open space. Because I am looking at the detail, so I need to stop and look all around to see all of that space.
Yeah, and I mean, and I don't want to say it's almost an agoraphobic feeling, as odd as that sounds. Because when you're so used to being in small rooms when you're going through a haunt, then you step into this much bigger expanse.
Yeah.
It's fear. It puts a fear in you because you're not used to this. They've changed the rules.
Yeah, well, a fear, a wonderment, maybe.
Oh, yeah, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But it definitely is attention-getting. So yeah, basically though, you're still creating the same type of 4-foot wide path, but you're doing it with props instead of just panels or walls or whatever you use in your haunt. It's a very simple idea in that regard. Now, the advantages of this approach are legion to me.
Yeah.
First is it feels so much more organic. Think about your own house and how you walk around it. Walls are there for a reason, obviously, to separate rooms.
No.
But you also walk around tables. You walk around desks. You walk around beds. You walk around bookshelves. You walk around various things that are probably sprinkled all over your house. that impede the walking path in one way or another, but you walk around them effortlessly because it's your house and you know it. Well, you're just taking that to a new extreme here, but it feels so much more organic. It feels like a real room that's alive.
Yeah, and it also allows you to vary the size of your rooms.
Oh, thank God, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because there have been haunts I've been to, some big name haunts even, where it's just 10-foot room, 10-foot room, 10-foot room, 10-foot room hall, 10-foot, and it's all you're doing is going from room of this size to room of this size, and you never get any variance in it.
Yeah, and it winds up feeling samey.
Yeah.
So
very, very samey. It's much more disorienting, like we were
just talking about. Yeah,
to go from small room, small room, small room. Okay, I get it. This is the field. This is the scope. This is holy crap. It's huge.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you build it small at the beginning, like if you put in false roofs, so it feels like the whole building they're in is small. And then it's not.
Yeah, it's
suddenly.
the Willy Wonka effect when they go through that tiny door into the giant, expansive room with the chocolate river and all that.
Yeah, it breaks your brain just a second.
Yeah, it is brain breaking. And it's odd because you can actually make people feel isolated and trapped in a very large space, especially if they still have that constricted walking path. But, it's like I said, it's almost an agoraphobic feeling. It does use less wood to build. In general, that is, as long as you're not using lumber to construct the props.
Right.
Then it might take significantly more wood. Or I don't know. It really depends. But it does definitely save on the number of panels you need.
Yeah, I would hit up the marketplace and Craigslist and stuff to find larger props.
Yeah, find bookshelves, find tables.
Filing cabinets. Filing cabinets are great to bang on.
Yeah, filing cabinets are great to bang on. Any metal tables you can get your hands on are great. Like you was finding kitchens.
Yeah,
those become impromptu gurneys so fast. They're great. It just allows for some pretty innovative scares. You'll have to be imaginative, as we'll get into.
Yeah.
But you can do some very innovative things in these rooms. And some of the most innovative scares I've seen have been in these types of rooms.
Yeah, and one of the things to remember is if you've got a big open space and you don't have a lot of props to put in it, your actors can help fill those gaps and funnel people where you want them to go, because we have seen that work too.
Yeah, we have seen actors, especially like the snarling ones and so forth, the intimidating ones, back you into the walking path you want.
Exactly.
And it's hard on the actor, especially if groups bunch up. So you're going to have to maintain your group distance here, but it can work. I've seen it work.
Yes.
That's a lot. And also, you better have a goddamn good actor, because that's going to be a difficult task. That's a big ask for that actor.
Yeah.
But it can be done. I've seen it done successfully, very, very well. And like I said, we've had actors literally damn near push us up against the wall, not by touching us, just by being aggressively invading our space and getting us into, because that's what they want us to do. They want us to go along the wall and go around,
right,
and add all that linear feet and slow down as we're doing it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna skip ahead for a second, but talk about a specific one of these is at New Orleans Nightmare. They have the New Orleans outdoor scene with like a hearse or something in the middle of the room. I can't remember. It's a big
They
prop.
have cars and hearses and things that sit in that space, but that's not their main tool.
But every time you go in, have you ever tried to go right and around that? No.
Yeah. No, because there's an actor there.
There's an actor there. They funnel you straight past it instead of trying to go around it.
One of the things that's so smart about it is they've used that same setup for many, many years, but every time you go through it different ways. Because it's got multiple entrances and exits. And you actually usually go through it twice. You usually go through one half of it at one point, and you can see the other side of it, but you go through the other side later on. Yeah. And they change up the directions and what doors you go through. And one of the things they do is they move the props around and position the actors differently. So it's really, really great. It's all. And speaking of which, it's easier to rearrange if the flow isn't working. If you realize, okay, people are getting confused or lost, what do we do? Okay, we'll just move this around. It's easier to move things around and change the flow. Yeah. And it keeps the customers guessing. And it's very useful if you have actors that want to interact more with the customer. We're going to talk about it in more detail in a minute. But there's a coroner room at the 13th gate. Yes. Which is a prop-based layout room. It's a fairly large room. It's not as large by prop-based layout rooms, but it's a fairly large open room that they use gurneys to guide you. They have bodies on gurneys.
Yeah.
And they use that to guide you. And there's an actor in there who's trying to tell you the backstory.
Mm-hmm.
And he's slowing you down and letting the props slow you down so he can get his 10-second spiel in or whatever.
Exactly.
Jack the Ripper's on the loose. Be careful out there.
Yeah.
I'm not responsible for what happens to you.
Yeah.
So on and so forth. And he has a pretty good spiel. But he's able to do that because of the prop-based layout room. So he's got time to interact with you because he's got the openness of the room, but also the slowdown effect of the props.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's also useful in historical buildings because you're not installing things permanently. This may be something that if you have a historical building, you might be one of your better options.
Mm-hmm.
And most importantly, it creates variety. And so yeah.
Yeah, putting things where people don't normally see them can also be very disorienting and adds to that variety. Like, build a kitchen scene and put a bathtub in it. Why not? You'd have to walk around it.
Yeah.
Be weird.
That is weird. I'm not going to lie to you. That's just plain weird.
I would stop and say, what is that doing there?
Why is there a bathtub in my kitchen? Yeah, that's a little weird. I'm not going to lie to you. But the disadvantages and the concerns are, the first and foremost, safety.
Mm-hmm.
Flat walls are just so much easier to make safe. You can run into any of the panels in this haunt, full head of steam. Panel will be fine, and you'll be fine.
Yep.
You'll look like a goddamn idiot. But believe me, it can take the hit, and you will not get cut or badly wounded. You may you may concuss yourself if you run in head first.
Yeah.
But, it's much safer with a flat wall. It's much easier to make flat walls safer than it is varied props. So you've got to make sure there are no rough edges or bad corners and that they are affixed to the ground. However you're going to affix them, they are affixed well. Some can be affixed just by being that heavy.
Yeah. Exactly.
I know Rise has bookshelves. The mammoth heavy-ass bookshelves.
Yeah, and
they ain't moving.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool because they're varying heights. Mm-hmm. So you're playing with the different levels of vision, and it
some
that
are
helps.
basically just walls.
Yeah, that helps add to that.
But some are half-height bookshelves that lets you see the more openness of the room, even as you're walking between the stacks. It's really cool.
And since bookshelves kind of look alike whenever they're positioned correctly behind each other, because they're all the same style bookshelf. Yeah. It's just some are taller than others, and so it looks like it's one bookshelf, but really there's a walkway in between them.
Yeah, exactly. It's really cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and make sure you fix things well. Make sure they cannot harm customers and actors, especially if you're putting them in zones where you're scaring people and they might run into it or fall into it. Be super careful.
Yeah, and if you're looking at your edges, and we think about our edges all the time because we've seen customers run into some things that we never thought that they would run into.
Yeah. I am never cease to be amazed by the stupidity of a scared customer.
Yeah, yeah. So baby-proofing sections at your local stores are awesome.
Yes.
They have these padded things to put on corners.
They're just tape, basically.
Yeah, they just stick on.
And they look pretty good.
They do. They come in all colors. They're padded.
Yeah. Depending on the props, this may increase your expense.
Mm-hmm.
Even with lumber prices being stupid. Once again, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, hit those places up for these types of things. You don't want to be buying these new.
Mm-hmm.
Potential for property damage.
Yeah.
This is because here's the thing. I know I have a weird tendency, and I do this without even thinking about it. It's not something I do consciously, but I'll sometimes touch walls as I walk by.
You touch everything if you walk by.
Yeah, I know. Coronavirus was hell. Pandemic was hell.
Yeah. Yes.
But okay, I do that on a wall. Not a big deal. I'm just one person. Mm-hmm. But now you have thousands and thousands of people doing it. Mm-hmm. These props are going to lose paint. They are going to get damaged.
Yeah.
There's not much that can be done about that. People touch walls. People bump into things. People get scared. They might crash into these props. Things get broken easier than walls. I can make walls more difficult to break simply by using thicker plywood.
Yeah.
I can't do much to make a prop.
Well, and walls are also, because of the nature of walls, they spread out the impact of the force.
Things get broken easier than walls. It's that simple.
Yeah.
So you've got to factor in that maintenance cost.
You also have to think about, is this a trip hazard?
Yes.
If somebody runs into it, are they going to fall over it and hurt themselves?
Absolutely. It does make it harder to hide scares in actors, especially if you're not breaking the line of sight much.
Yeah.
My vote here is to get creative. One of the best startles an actor got for me was in a prop-based layout room. It was a doctor room.
Mm-hmm.
And what he did was he simply crouched down behind a cabinet, made himself small, and as we were coming by the other side of it, sprang up.
Yeah.
Now, my knees die at the thought of this, personally, but it was, the timing was down. I thought there's no way in hell anyone could be underneath there because we'd see him.
Mm-hmm.
I felt pretty comfortable. I could see over this cabinet, but I could not. So you got to get creative. It takes a good actor to do this. And you've got to design it well, but it is going to require much more work. It's great for interactive scenes, like I described the coroner sequence earlier. If you have an actor you want interacting, like the mad scientist could just come out and go, "Oh yes, you'd be a good specimen,"
Yeah.
and talk like that, and then do that the entire way as they snake through the scene, and that could work, for example. But you can still do distract and startle. It just takes a little more work, and this is going to create some complexities with fire code compliance. My advice, get with your fire marshal before doing this.
Yeah, that's always the advice, because you've got to get with them anyway to get your layouts approved.
And yes, there are rules, and there are national rules, and there are local rules, but the enforcement of those rules from the fire code marshals themselves varies so wildly.
Yeah.
I mean, we had one haunter friend of ours who talked about how he had a haunt in Jefferson Parish here, which is a very, very populated parish.
Right.
And everything had to be strict. He had as much as a fucking broken ceiling tile.
Yeah.
He was going to get dinged for it. And so he had to go buy ceiling tiles the day before opening. Repair a few loose, cracked ceiling tiles. It was that crazy.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, he had a haunt open in one of the river parishes, which is not that populated. Fire marshal shows up, clipboard, it looks good. just leaves.
Yeah.
So the enforcement is wildly inconsistent. Get with your fire marshal. Do what you got to do to get your haunt open. And be safe.
Yeah. Yeah, but the best approach to designing haunts is a hybrid of and this is something that we've, kind of alluded to before with mixing in small rooms, small hallways with large rooms.
Yeah.
With
these bigger set pieces. And the reason is because the normal rooms are the easiest to build. They are the easiest to design. Because we're used to doing rooms.
Yeah.
This is what we're used to doing.
We set up rooms all the time. We set up our house. We set up our office. We set up, rooms are easy.
And so basically, though, if you vary room styles through the haunt, maybe have claustrophobic sections and then a couple more open ones using prop-based layout. Things like that are great. If you mix it up, it's great as disorienting. And it keeps people guessing what's coming next, basically.
Yeah, I think disorienting might be the buzzword of the episode.
Yes, every time we say disorienting from now on, scream! Ah, it's the word of the day! Ah! Please don't do that. You probably deeply annoy anyone in the room with you. But yeah, basically the idea is to maximize the benefits of both while minimizing the drawbacks.
Yeah.
So just consider having sections to take advantage of both approaches. And make sure to theme those sections appropriately.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to, if you're going to have a bedroom, that's probably going to be one of the smaller, more traditional haunt rooms, because that's what it is in your house most of the time.
Right.
Unless you live in, a fucking mansion or something and have an ornate, bedroom with, I don't know how you
I don't know. If I were going to build, a giant ornate bedroom on a haunted house, I would just move into the haunted house.
Now, okay, that's true. But and another one is a bathroom scene probably isn't going to be a giant prop-based layout affair.
Probably not.
Because bathrooms typically aren't giant prop-based layout affairs in your home. They're not what they are. But you could do a giant shower sequence, like a prison shower thing, like a prison bathroom might work, but not like a single one-off bathroom. So yeah, think about what room is appropriate to be giant, what rooms are appropriate to be small, and just alternate between the claustrophobic ones and larger ones. And remember, those larger ones, prop-based layout is how you keep maximizing your linear foot.
Yes.
Now, some of our favorite examples. I think my absolute favorite example of prop-based layout was at Rise. I don't think they have the room anymore.
I think they did last time we were there.
It would have been 2019.
Yeah.
We were there. but it's the chandelier drop room. Now, it's a surprisingly small room for prop-based layout. Mm-hmm. But if you imagine this room as being, a square, you enter from the east, and the exit's on the north side, basically.
Okay.
It's like a diagonal across the room. You're not, but not the full room. And so if you just walk straight from the entrance to the exit, it'd be like 3 steps. Mm-hmm. Not a big room.
No, yeah.
So what they did is they made it so that they put this giant fucking dining table in there. Mm-hmm. It's a huge table. I don't know where they got this thing. And it makes you walk pretty much around the outside of the room, 270 degrees around this table to get to the exit. You can see the exit. Like I said, if you could climb over the table, it's like 3 steps. But you can't do that.
Because they're actors.
There are actors, too, in this room. So, but the main thing is, the main scare in the room is they have a chandelier that falls right into the center of this table. Mm-hmm. Like I said, huge table. You would have to be really trying to reach into and get limbs caught in it.
Yeah.
But it's a huge, huge table. And the chandelier drops. And what this means is you have this long walk, or longer than it would seem, actually, walk around this table, and that's plenty of time for the scare to hit. Make sure the whole group gets it, because that room can, even though it's not big, will hold 6 people since you're walking around the outside edge of it. It's a beautiful, beautiful example of prop-based layout. It's just one prop doing the prop-based layout in there, and that's the big goddamn table. 13th Gate, I miss Necropolis 13.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing was basically prop-based layout. Crypts and fences. And it was a great actor's playground because of it.
Yeah, and it was. And I saw some of the best scares for other customers in there, because in the tops of the crypts, they would have holes for actors to be, and they would reach down through them and play with people's hair.
And I get it. It was difficult to maintain.
It was outside, and things outside and weather in New Orleans or southern Louisiana tend to break down over time.
And Baton Rouge in this case. But yeah. It tend to break down. I get it. It was probably the right move to close it. I'm not saying it wasn't. I just miss it.
Yeah.
Because it was an entire thing doing prop-based layout. And then when you realize how small it was. Mm-hmm. Because the area they have the carnival now was Necropolis 13 in its entirety.
Yeah.
And you go, holy shit, this isn't a lot of room. And you eked a 15-minute walkthrough out of it.
Yeah.
Using nothing but fencing and crypts.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, it also had my favorite drop panel thing.
Oh yeah, the big fence.
Well, it was a door. It was like a giant door. It was like 8 foot tall, and it was on chains, and you're walking by, and it just crashes to the ground with an actor behind it.
Yeah, and a zombie comes out. Usually it was a zombie coming out from
Yeah, and it was on like a flying thing that came out towards you.
Yeah,
that was cool.
It was badass. So they had a lot of great things, but it was almost entirely prop-based layout. But we mentioned the coroner scene in the main 13th Gate, which is one of the first rooms. And like I said, it's setting up the backstory for the Jack the Ripper section. And it's beautiful. It's just a coroner's office. It's not very heavily decorated. It's viable as a coroner's office in that time period. Some gurneys to block your path to keep you from just going straight to the exit. Mm-hmm. And since you're going around this stuff, the actor has time to basically lay in the backstory.
Yeah. Exactly. Laying the backstory, there's squirting of water or liquid of some type.
Yeah, from one of the corpses on one of the tables. Usually. Yeah, it's bizarre. That part's bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay. New Orleans Nightmare. So this actually goes back to House of Shock, but
New Orleans I don't think this scene's been there.
It hasn't.
I don't think so.
We'll have to make a note of this next time we go.
Yeah.
The church scene, though.
Yeah.
Basically, they had this huge cathedral-style church in there, and they used pews.
Yeah.
They used whatever.
They used
the broken steeple.
The broken steeple,
to get you through part of it. But between the pews, broken steeples, and actors, you had to snake through this thing pretty hardcore, and that gave a lot of opportunities for scares. And I would also say, we mentioned the New Orleans street scene earlier.
Right, yeah. And one of the things to keep in mind when designing a prop-based layout room is that people are going to go to the first place that's accessible to them. Mm-hmm. So if you put multiple paths through it, whatever's closest to the customer is where they're going to go.
Yeah, they're only going to go,
unless they're weird like me and might want to try to
most customers don't take the path, the vast majority will take the path of least resistance.
So. Exactly. Because they want to get to the next room as soon as possible. I don't understand it, but sometimes...
Well, no, it's because this is an intense experience. And
I know.
They are wanting to conquer the intense experience.
Yes.
They don't care if they're taking a cheat code.
Exactly.
They're not completionists. We're completionists.
Yeah.
We're assholes that demand 100% of every video game be done.
Yeah.
Statesville, for me, had one of my favorites, the Jack-in-the-Box room / asylum sequence.
Yeah.
Big, huge room with high ceilings. And I can't remember if they were Jack-in-the-Box type things or blocks, but it was like this weird circus thing going on.
With clowns, I think. And But yeah, you could see the entire room, but it was confusing where to go because all of the props were decorated very similarly.
Yeah.
And that was really bright. You had just come out of
a
darker set.
You transitioned from an asylum into the clown section, actually. I remember this. And you had to snake all through it. And meanwhile, the actors get to play with all the verticality because they have blocks of different sizes and heights. And they're on top of them, reaching down. They're popping around them.
Yeah. I think there were some on bungee cords, too.
Yeah, there were some on I think there were some on bungee cords, too.
Yeah.
Basically, this room just was so expansive.
And so chaotic. There was so much movement, so much color, and it was beautiful.
It's sensory overload. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. And the same zombie army again. At Hell's Gate, they had the Dragon Room, which was a very similar room in terms of it was big, it was expansive. You felt, small in this room.
Yeah.
But it was the exact opposite, where the other one tries to completely overload you.
Yeah.
And not let you know where to look or where to go. This one, you're looking right at that fucking dragon.
Yeah.
Because it's big, it's on one of the walls. It's big, it's huge. It dominates the presence of that room completely. You've got one thing you're focused on, and you're snaking around props to get right under, basically walk right underneath it.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
exactly.
Final one I put down was Netherworld, the forest sequence we just talked about. Step into this room. There's this big giant tree that pushes you around a certain path. And like I said, it fills the room. It's big, high ceilings, projections everywhere. So much going on. You'll look everywhere in that room except where the scare's coming from. I guarantee it. Because I didn't. And I'm pretty good at that shit.
Yes. I don't see you get got.
No,
often.
He got me. He got straight fire got
me.
They
did, yeah.
I'm man enough to admit when I get got. I got. So yeah, those are just some of our favorite prop-based layout rooms. You can do a lot with it. I've also, one of my other favorites, I can't remember which haunt it was now, but had a mad scientist room, like the one with the cabinet and so forth, and the various medical tables and things that you have to snake around. That was great. I think that might have been Rockets again.
Oh, recently on the walkthrough, the virtual walkthrough that we watched.
Oh, yeah.
They had the coolest, like, LED clear panels with bodies on them. I'm gonna have to see. Oh
yeah, that's right.
It was just really awesome, but you had to go around everything,
and it was really cool because it let you, because these were like, it looked like something that Bodyworks exhibit, but they were fake. Where Bodyworks is real bodies, obviously.
Yeah.
But it looked like something that could have been from that exhibit, and it was really cool the way they had them positioned. You had to snake around them, and basically you got to see them from both sides. It was really, really cool.
Yeah.
And you're trying to remember which haunt it was?
I think it was Dark Hour.
Yeah, I think it might have been Dark Hour. Yeah, I think it was Dark Hour.
Yeah.
It was. But it was a really, really cool room. And it was done entirely, it was a big room in terms of space and had a high ceiling on it.
Yeah.
The looks of it.
Yeah, I was happy that they did the walkthrough and we were able to watch most of it.
Our internet crapped out.
Yeah.
That was right.
That was annoying.
Right. So, revisiting the question of the week as we wrap this up, we're just about out of time this week. I see we have a couple of responses. Yes,
we do. So, the question of the week.
What is your most memorable room or scene from a haunted house that you've been to?
Derek Muehlberger said, huge circular room with projections, huge animatronics, actors, and skulls at Netherworld.
Yeah. That may be their new location. We didn't see that room, but that's something they do incredibly well. I can testify to that.
Yeah.
They do that amazingly.
Yeah.
Or it might have been part of another room, but when we were there, that room was a forest scene, and Jesus. It'll make you feel about 2 inches tall in about 3 seconds.
Exactly. And Christian Risto said the entrance sequence at Hell's Gates, the twins.
Yes, the twins. We talked about that earlier because that's something. It's so memorable.
Mm-hmm.
That, and like I said, Statesville has something similar. I didn't like the intro to Statesville as much. Hell's Gate, they really nailed down that intro.
Yeah.
They really nailed it down. And, I go back and forth of what I think of Statesville versus Hell's Gate. And one of the things I think about Statesville is because it's a more complete haunted attraction. You have more stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're expanding at Hell's Gate still. They haven't built out a lot of the other stuff. But you got 2 attractions. You got the carnival. You got a lot more stuff at Hell's Gate. I mean, at Statesville. But Hell's Gate, that opening sequence at Hell's Gate is just incredible. It's easily one of my favorite things. And and it's like and then what's really funny is I just realized this. We talk about our most memorable scenes from haunts, and neither of us mentioned anything from Raven's Grin Inn. I don't.
Raven's Grin Inn is in a totally different
class. It's playing a different sport.
It's playing a different sport than every other haunt.
Yeah, and
Raven's
Grin Inn is just one scene, basically.
Yeah.
Or 2 scenes, if you think about it. It's so wild and so crazy. You can't tell one scene from the next.
No, and there is a lot of prop-based layout in it, too.
Oh, yeah.
That,
because it's an actual house.
Yeah.
It's this house. No.
Yeah.
The logo. No, but it could be. Oh, well. Well, on that note, everyone, thank you very much for spending the past hour with us. Whether you're catching us live or recorded, whenever, thank you for letting us into your lives there. Hope you learned something. Hope you found it entertaining. Hope it was fun. Mm-hmm. On that note, definitely check out all the other stuff we have. We've got a lot. 286 other episodes to be specific. You can catch them at hauntweekly.com or Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook. YouTube.com/HauntWeekly has the entire archive. Everything for free. Just access it. Go crazy. Easy searching. We have lists. All the news episodes. The interviews are in lists. When you like it when we talk to people smarter than us.
Yeah.
Which we do. We try to do a lot. So, yes, go check us out there. Also, find us wherever you get your podcasts. Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever. Spotify, we're up there too. And as always, Facebook.com/HauntWeekly. Sunday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. Catch us live as we do these. Be a part of the show. Have your name on the podcast. It's at least a modest amount of fun. I don't want to oversell the amount of fun.
Yeah.
But we have fun chatting with you, so I hope you do too. But until next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
This is Haunt Weekly, episode 287, talking about prop-based layout. Next is 288. That means it's time to do
the news.
We will see you all then.